today. New Fauci emails once again point to a COVID-19 lab leak cover-up. Pfizer continues to move the Overton window, and the sheep just keep lapping it up. And the Democrats plan to change Senate rules to ram through their voting changes. Get ready for more fraud. We've got all that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and I decided, since I was going to be joined today by two men, that I would, in fact, wear plaid, because I just had a feeling that they would be wearing it too. So we've got Mr. Orange Plaid, Chad Prather, but he also comes complete with the vest and the cowboy hat, host of the Chad Prather Show, America's favorite cowboy and future governor of Texas. Thanks. You for being
here. This beard is on point, too.
Yeah, it is.
I got to shave it.
It's much better than mine.
I got to get it. Well, keep taking those therapy shots.
Yeah, there you go. Also joined by the blue plaid, Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show, Blaze TV contributor. So I'm just trying to keep up with. No, everyone says women can be men, so I'm just trying to be like one of you.
All guys like a girl in a guy's shirt.
It's true. That's true. That's universal, I think.
That's universal.
You think?
Yeah.
Don't think. We know. We're guys.
We know. We're guys. We're guys.
So you say. Define what a man is.
Should have brought a rope.
Wear your man's shirt. Trust me.
Yeah, it works.
All right, so let's get into these new Fauci emails that were released by the Republican leaders on the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees. If you are watching Blaze TV regularly, this is not going to be a shock to you, but it is interesting to see this trickle out of information to maybe the mainstream average American person, and whether or not they are going to finally understand what has happened when they take into consideration all of the things that have been shared with them throughout 2020, 2021, and now 2022, according to what we know now. So this was a letter to Health and Human Services that there was a February 1st, 2020 conference call that included Fauci. It included Francis Collins, who I believe is retired at this point. He submitted for resignation at the end of last year, and I think he was the one who played that very weird song.
Is it the dude that did the Over the Rainbow?
Yeah, that's him. That's him. So they talked about the virus origins, and it was on that conference call that Fauci and Collins were both warned first that COVID-19 may have leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology and may have been intentionally genetically manipulated. They did say in the letter that it was unclear whether Fauci or Collins ever passed these warnings along to other government officials or if they ignored them. But these scientists who participated in this conference call with Fauci and Collins, 4 of them went on to write a paper called The Proximal Origin of SARS-CoV-2 that they sent to Fauci and Collins 3 days after the call. The article did not argue that the virus originated in the lab, and the Republicans are now wondering, because the emails exchanged information about whether or not it did originate from a lab, and all of a sudden there was no mention of it in the paper, whether maybe Fauci or Collins influenced them to drop this lab leak theory. I will tell you that these emails, please, I encourage everyone, we don't have copies of them. I would encourage everyone to go to, these are all over Twitter on the GOP. I will retweet them so that they will be in my timeline. You can go, they are posted, and it is all of these redacted emails, but the GOP members have actually written in the notes of what these unredacted parts are. So they said with these scientists, one of them being Dr. Jeremy Farrar, saying a likely explanation could involve accidentally creating a virus that would be primed for rapid transmission between humans. They said that, the similarities between a bat coronavirus and the very specific differences, he said, I just can't figure out how this gets accomplished in Nature. So there were a lot of, there was a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about whether or not it could even be possible for this to occur in nature and not be something that was man-made, something that maybe originated in a lab. But interestingly enough, in their paper, they left that part out. By the way, Collins, who sang that wonderful,
One-hit wonder.
Yes, the wonderful remix of Over the Rainbow. He had said, he linked to an article about the lab leak theory and said, I hoped the Nature Medicine article on the genomic sequence of SARS-CoV-2 would settle this, but probably didn't get much visibility. And Fauci responded, I would not do anything about this right now. It is a shiny object that will go away with time. It's very, very interesting when you go in and read the emails and read the unredacted parts, notes of what these emails said. It's like, tell me there are like 2 + 2 = 4, right? Like it's too much of a coincidence to not be what happened in my mind.
So in simple terms, what does your gut tell you? Like what does your gut tell you? It doesn't matter what the papers say. It doesn't matter how many toys you hold up in the shape of a virus.
Right.
I mean, at what point in time do we start making dolls out of a virus, right? They're holding these things, and everybody knows what the COVID thing looks like. But what does your gut tell you? It came from a lab, all right? Somebody created this. This was a bioweapon. It got loose for whatever reason. I still go back to the fact that they put this thing out because people were protesting in the streets of Hong Kong, and the CCP just couldn't have that. So they had to have a reason to push people back into their homes and get them out of the streets. Well, the thing got loose. And now here we are spinning our wheels, spending billions and trillions of dollars over research and trials and testimony and Senate hearings and all these various things, and the back and forth between Rand Paul and Fauci. And, the question that I have there is like these guys that are holding up the Omicron virus, right? Here's a toy he's holding up. Then you got Fauci who's going to tell you just exactly what you're supposed to believe. When's the last time these guys were actually in a lab themselves? Like, when did they strap on the coat, put on a hazmat, oil up, and go to work? They didn't. No, they're reading papers, they're interpreting papers, and they're telling you what to believe based off of the papers, right?
So or sometimes not even based off of the papers, but what they want you to think.
It's a virologist interpretation, all that in quotes, a virologist interpretation of what the, quote, data is supposed to be. God only knows what the data, I still go back to Mark Twain's adage about statistics when it comes to the data. These guys contradict these, they're flip-flopping. So at the end of the day, I'm just saying, you can read all the decimal points and the percentages, but what does your gut tell you? I think when you do that, your intuition is going to bring you to the truth, or real close to it.
Absolutely. And there's always that little voice inside, right? Something I think that's important to highlight here, and Chad just mentioned it, how the world of academia and medicine works is they will write white papers. And then we will make law based on white papers, but nobody making law has experience on the law they're making, so they go off of the white paper. But nobody digs past the white paper to the history that created the white paper, which should be real science. So what they do, and I've written on white papers, I've been in a situation on this, on trafficking, etc., where you bring a bunch of people together, experts, you kind of agree, hey, this is our direction, right? Wink, wink, right? It's exactly what he did. We're going to omit this piece. And then we're going to put it out, and there's your study. There's your white paper. Now let's go educate the American people on this white paper, which is a crock of crap to start with because it's manipulated. But now it's law, air quotes, and then we literally will go write law on these white papers. That's how this works. That's why you will have a business, professor who hasn't run a single business in his life, but he's writing white papers on business. And I go, how many paychecks have you cut? How many times have you gone through a downturn in the economy? Oh, 0. I don't want you to teach me. Bring me a real business guy to come teach me business. This guy hasn't seen a patient in 15, 17 years.
Probably longer.
Right? Fauci? He hasn't been in a lab, but he writes the white paper. This is why you're seeing so many doctors like McCullough and all these other guys going, that's not how it works. That's not how it works in the human body. Your white paper is not representing physiology. It's some altered reality that you cooked up amongst your peers.
Well, that's what happens when you live in a world where feelings are over facts, right? I feel this about the science. You don't question it. And now, granted, a little while ago, I said, you trust your feeling on this thing. I mean, a little bit of intuition does go a long way. But at the end of the day, when you get down to the data, you don't feel your way through the data.
No.
All right?
No.
You got to get down to the brass tacks of the matter. That's why I keep saying my biggest phrase right now, everything that I'm saying, whether it's campaigning or looking at this situation or COVID, whatever, I'm like, just read the fine print. We live in a day and an age where everybody's a soundbite, and they think they've become masters of the truth. Read the fine print. Nobody wants to get that deep into it. But you're right about that. You got academicians all over the country who are pushing their papers around in their tenured academic bubbles on college and university campuses. They're doing that for 30 years. They've never done a single thing to test their wild-eyed progressive theories out in the real world, but they're tenured in there, and they'll always get a paycheck, and you can't get rid of them.
It's all theory.
And that's who's controlling the minds of the next generation, and then we're just propagating falsehood.
Which is sorry, Sarah, but which is why we took the White House, the Senate, and the House and solved no problems for the most part. Which is why we couldn't overturn Obamacare, because we had the same kind of mindsets in the conservative movement going, well, in theory, but we don't actually practically know how to go do this.
Right.
No.
We don't know how to actually go win the game.
Plus Hillary Clinton, this is a side topic, but Hillary Clinton was going to get elected, right?
Yeah.
So they knew they weren't going to have a chance to try to put any theories in place. So they were like, we don't even come up with an audit. And that's what they do with everything. They're like, oh, damn, suddenly we're on the bubble. We don't have an answer.
Right.
We're on the clock and we're supposed to draft. We didn't actually decide on who to pick.
So again, let's pontificate on all this.
So speaking of, getting answers, Fauci was involved in another hearing today. Yeah, don't you? He is just the best. This was a hearing on Capitol Hill dealing with the response to COVID-19 variants, and Rand Paul was all in, as you can imagine. The more and more he goes down this rabbit hole, the more he realizes he was vindicated in all of his previous hearings, where he really sparred with Anthony Fauci on many different things regarding Anthony Fauci's handling of this. But let's watch first. I want to play a couple of these for you. Let's watch first Rand Paul basically telling Dr. Fauci he has used his, just as a reminder, $420,000 salary, the highest paid federal employee. He's using his $420,000 salary to basically attack scientists that disagree with him. Watch.
But when the planner is a government official like yourself who rules by mandate, the errors are compounded and become much more harmful. A planner who believes he is the science leads to an arrogance that justifies, in his mind, using government resources to smear and to destroy the reputations of other scientists who disagree with him. In an email exchange with Dr. Collins, you conspire, and I quote here directly from the email, to create a quick and devastating published takedown of three prominent epidemiologists from Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. Apparently, there's a lot of fringe epidemiologists at Harvard, Oxford, and Stanford. And you quote in the email that they, or from Dr. Collins, and you agree that they are fringe. And immediately there's this takedown effort. A published takedown, though, doesn't exactly conjure up the image of a dispassionate scientist. Instead of engaging them on the merits, you and Dr. Collins sought to smear them as fringe and take them down. And not in journals, in lay press. This is not only antithetical to the scientific method, it's the epitome of cheap politics, and it's reprehensible, Dr. Fauci. Do you really think it's appropriate to use your $420,000 salary to attack scientists that disagree with you?
He was, of course, alluding to the Great Barrington Declaration, which was the group of professionals, scientific professionals, who had come out against what Dr. Fauci was saying. And so instead of allowing science to actually happen, right, because part of science is disagreeing and coming to a different conclusion, and it is only then that we are able to evolve our science, because we used to think all of these crazy things: pregnant women could smoke, pregnant women could drink, think of all of the things that we have evolved, all of these scientific theories that we have evolved, now that we know more, now that we have actually had a chance to put science to the test. And then, of course, after that, Anthony Fauci accuses, we won't play this, but Anthony Fauci accuses Rand Paul of attacking him for political reasons. It's a little projection, if you ask me. But then after that, we see Dr. Fauci holding up making this big grandstand about, someone was on his way to kill me, and it must have been because of you, Rand Paul.
Womp, womp.
Watch this.
just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, on December 21st, a person was arrested who was on their way from Sacramento to Washington, D.C., at a speed stop in Iowa. And the police asked him where he was going, and he was going to Washington, D.C. to kill Dr. Fauci. And they found in his car an AR-15 and multiple magazines of ammunition because he thinks that maybe I'm killing people. So I ask myself, why would Senator want to do this? So go to Rand Paul website and you see Fire Dr. Fauci with a little box that says contribute here. You can do $5, $10, $20, $100. So you are making a catastrophic epidemic for your political gain.
Right, because saying fire Dr. Fauci, who has been wrong on literally everything he has said and has since changed his opinion whenever the right answer comes and smacks him in the face, saying fire Dr. Fauci is apparently equivalent to telling someone to go murder him. By the way, that's a pretty dumb criminal. If in fact the story is true.
If that guy actually said that.
Yeah, it's like, I'm on my way to kill someone.
To go kill somebody. Wait, come on.
I mean, that's usually what I say at a speed trap. You know,
yeah, right.
Where you headed so fast? Got to kill a doctor in D.C. I mean, imagine being the highest paid government official and a virologist at that, a world-renowned virologist, consistently getting your ass handed to you by a senator who's a failed eye doctor. This is funny theater to watch this thing. If I thought it would raise money for my campaign, I would put Fire Dr. Fauci on my website, too, with a donation. You actually can go to Prather2022.com and donate right now.
Yes.
I promise you we will not send anybody sitting on a diaper cross country with an AR-15. This is the kind of stuff that's just, this is the grandstanding that drives me crazy. Let's take it. You know what? I disagree with you, so here's what let's do. Let's take it to murder and death. You were trying to have me killed. You wanted to have me scalesed.
Well, yes, but thank you for bringing that up because they will never equate the person who, that was a Bernie supporter who wanted to shoot up the entire GOP.
I want to encourage everybody, tonight's episode of the Chad Prather Show, after this show, I want everybody just watch the first 7 minutes of it. All right? You want my response to the whole January 6th thing, and let's talk about the leftist attacks on the right. You just watch the first 7 minutes of the show. You'll watch the rest of it. You'll love it. I look great on it. I'm wearing the same clothes. And then subscribe and then go to Prather2022 and donate.
All right.
Look, I think it's kind of rich. Yeah, are there people disgruntled with this doctor? Yes, of course. I mean, we are unhappy, right? But I think it's very rich for him to say, look, you're financially benefiting off of an epidemic or a pandemic. Do you say the same to Pfizer?
Right.
And all big pharma? Because trust me, their financial statements are looking pretty healthy for 2021, and it's going to for 2022 with the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th booster coming, right? And so
the CEO just came out with the Yahoo thing.
Yeah, of course.
So,
we're going to talk about that, right?
So let's get into Pfizer and what the Pfizer CEO has come out and said recently. Let's get into that after the break. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Built Bar. So I actually just had a chocolate chip cookie dough Built Bar in my dressing room. Chad's laughing because he knows that I have, I'm sorry, I need to get you some more. He's laughing because he knows that I have a Built Bar addiction because they're so freaking good. But if you, like me, have a New Year's resolution to lose weight, okay, or like stay in shape or whatever your New Year's resolution is, if it has anything to do with keeping the pounds off, you've got to get Built Bar in your life. They are low calorie, but they're a protein bar. So they're high in protein. They're going to keep you full. They're going to keep you satisfied. And most importantly, they're going to satisfy your sweet tooth cravings, which is usually what derails people from all of their diets, from all of their healthy eating. They're like, I just want to eat a candy bar, so I'm going to eat a Snickers. Don't do that. All right? Stock your pantry with Built Bar. Yaku, am I right or am I right?
Yes, I want you to tell people that it's not just good.
Yeah.
But it actually helps you with your diet.
Yeah.
It actually helps you maintain your goals.
Yes,
right?
It's because you feel full, you feel satisfied.
True.
You've got that protein to keep you full, but it is still delicious and it's low sugar. It works great with keto diets. They're just amazing. All of the flavors are great. You can't go wrong with any of them. You can go check them out at built.com. Use promo code NEWS15 to save 15% off of your order. That is NEWS15 for 15% off over at built.com. So we were just discussing Pfizer and how they have, I don't know, one might say financially benefited from all of this pandemic and what has transpired. Well, now they are trying to, they say, have a COVID-19 vaccine that actually specifically targets cold. I'm sorry, did I say cold? I meant Omicron. That specifically targets Omicron. My bad. Sorry, it just slipped out. And others,
the twin
they say,
of the cold.
Yes. They say Omicron and other circulating variants by March. And as the Pfizer CEO, Albert Bourla, was announcing this work on the new vaccine with Yahoo Finance, he admitted I'm not sure if he meant for this to slip out. I don't know, but he admitted something that we here have been saying for a while. Watch.
And we know that the 2 doses of the vaccine offer very limited protection, if any. The 3 doses with a booster, they offer reasonable protection against hospitalization and deaths. Against deaths, I think very good. And less protection against infection. Now, we are working on a new version of our vaccine, the 1.1, let me put it that way, that will cover Omicron as well. And of course, we are waiting to have the final results. The vaccine will be ready in March.
All right. So the 2 shots offer very little, if any, protection. Now, might I remind you that despite the left's attempts to rewrite history, the Pfizer shot was originally sold as a 2-dose series, which meant you allegedly needed 2 doses to be completely protected from infection. Remember, not prevention of hospitalization, not prevention of death. No, we were told these 2 shots would give you immunity and would prevent you from even getting sick at all. And now we are so far removed from that particular assertion. And society has happily shifted to that company's own CEO, all of his new assertions, that he has the gall to plaster his ugly, evil face all over national television and just casually explain that those same 2 doses of the vaccine that they originally said gave you immunity actually probably gives you no protection at all. But definitely trust them when they tell you that the 3rd shot is going to be the real winner. And by the way, while we're at it, I have a bridge to sell you. Look, I realize that there are a lot of people who have a lot of pride at stake here and don't want to give up on the lie, right? There are a lot of Americans who put their bodies at risk for no reason, as it turns out, who put their children's bodies at risk for no reason, as it turns out, all because they allowed fear to dictate their life. They allowed it to cloud their judgment and decided to put all of their trust in this public-private partnership of big daddy government and big pharma, despite the fact that if you would have looked at both of those entities' histories, you should have learned very quickly they were not to be trusted, especially when colluding together. But if you are still hanging on to this lie because you cannot swallow your pride and admit that you were wrong, admit that you were hoodwinked in the greatest public deception in the history of the country, if you can't bear to face your unvaccinated loved one and tell them you're sorry for the nasty things you said to them when they dared go against the grain, if you can't say enough is enough, then I might ask you when. 5 boosters, 10, maybe 1 million. I don't know. All I'm saying is enough with the lies, enough with the deception, enough with the drug companies feeling confident enough to go on TV just to slap you in the face while you beg them for more. Stop standing idly by and allowing them to continue moving the Overton window, grow some balls, and push back because, as we say so often on this program, this only ends when we say it ends. Gentlemen, your thoughts.
Booyah.
I never been so turned on this show in my life, and I've sat here with Glenn Beck. Yeah, listen, this Juice and Boost program is going to have more accessories than an Apple iPhone.
How are people still going along with this?
Not going to stop.
No, it's never going to stop. As long as they can print money off of this,
that's right.
That's just the way it's going to go. I mean, this guy, you're right. He's got the audacity to say, okay, well, now we're going to give you 1.1. We're developing 1.1. You're going to keep doing that. I just read a headline during the break where somebody said, it was an op-ed piece, they said, even though I was hospitalized for my vaccine, I'm still going to get the booster. And I'm like,
I saw that.
No, that's a mental illness. Show? That's a mental illness.
They don't want to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep on doing it. And look, they realize, again, read the fine print. Nobody wants to read the fine print. Nobody's done that. They've read the headlines. It's a headline soundbite world we're living in. And they just keep telling you this stuff. And you're like, oh, well, now I've got to go do this. And so what are you going to do? You're going to line up on the streets of New York all the way down the block in 5-degree weather, piled on top of everybody, breathing your own human bio waste through your mask. And you're just going to stand there and you're going to wait in line. to see if you're even sick.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. It's stupid. This is mental illness. That's what we've got. I don't know if they pumped it in the water. I don't know if I should blame Reagan for emptying the asylums and these nuts getting together and procreating and having a whole generation of idiots. I don't know who to blame at this point in time, but my God, I'm seriously thinking about having my vasectomy reversed just so I can sell pure sperm. It's like the new crypto. I'm telling you, it's going to be valuable on the market because I'm not getting that stuff. And the best thing people can do right now, is you need to get back, you need to get you some supplements and you need to start rebuilding your cellular stuff because you've poisoned yourself. I said it on my show last week and I don't care about the pushback. Look, you want to get a vaccine, fine, get a vaccine. But this ain't a vaccine.
Right.
This is an experimental drug that they're pumping inside of you. You're getting juice and boosted. That's 100%. You're just getting the juice. You don't know what you're pumping in your body. And look, you did it. You've already done it. Look.
Start reversing it.
You need to start working on rebuilding the cells.
Not to mention, Jaco, on this show, what was it? At least 6 months ago, if not longer, we discussed the worry that this was hurting women's menstrual cycles.
Yeah.
Now we see the headline. Well, you may see a temporary change in your menstrual cycle.
It's not a temporary change.
Before they said, no, you're a conspiracy theorist.
And I want to be wrong.
You
want to be wrong.
I know.
No, but you're not wrong. And look,
I know I'm not.
It's not temporary. A miscarriage is not temporary.
Yeah.
Okay? Oh, Jaco, yes, miscarriage. Just go talk to ER nurses. Go talk to OB-GYNs. Let's go see.
Well, how can they say there's going to be a temporary change to your menstrual cycle, but somehow it doesn't affect anyone who is actually already pregnant?
Hormones in a woman affect everything. Your thyroid. You understand how a woman is so complex, how a woman is put together, which is why no man can ever be a woman, number one, okay? Nor should you want to, okay? Okay?
No, you don't. We got to put up with a lot of crap.
But I want to say this. I just want something not to be lost on us here. What you just saw, it's called a stock pump, okay? And it's literally a CEO going into the public market in the press and pumping a stock that's coming because it raises investor expectations, which makes them more pro putting more money into the market. So very cunningly, he took a conversation about COVID and actually spoke to his investor base and said, wink, wink, it's good, it's coming, okay? No, that's not insider, but that's a stock pump. Normally it's a pump and dump. This is a stock pump of him saying it's coming because they know. They want to encourage the investor base, and those who are drinking from that teat, as you would say, they say, bring more.
You're right.
You would say that.
I would.
That's a Chad Prather saying, right?
I would.
Drinking from that teat, and they're on it, and they're latched on, okay? They go, so I also would say this. For those who are financially benefiting from this, some of them, Sarah, may be more inclined to not swallow their pride because they go, well, I'm kind of benefiting from this. Although I am in the hospital with a vaccine, double boosted, triple boosted, but I don't want to go against it because I'm gaining in the market. From this.
I mean, but the average American person, it's just like, guys.
But it's not them.
I get it. You bought into a lie,
average
but
American
enough is enough.
person today is the lab rat. As you were saying, that's the average American person.
And all you got to do is watch that stupid Jim Cramer, the Mad Money guy, who's now suddenly this guy's a virologist who knows everything about, you ought to get the vaccine. This guy's that's what he does. He pumps and then later dumps. I mean, he's a stock pumper.
Absolutely,
that's all he does on the show Mad Money. And now he's talking about all this kind of nonsense, and that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. All right, we've got more to come, but first we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So, look, we talk a lot about New Year's resolutions and things like that, but I have one that I really want you to consider committing to, all right? Let's resolve all together to do something that's going to help get this country back on track, like supporting causes and companies that share our values and love this country. There are so few of them right now, so we have to support the ones who do. That is why the Blaze partners with Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they offer broad nationwide coverage. By the way, these are, I don't know if people realize this, these are the same towers that all the major carriers use, so you're getting the same nationwide coverage, but you're also getting peace of mind that your money isn't going to support the left and the left-leaning causes. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget. They've got 100% U.S.-based customer support, and more importantly, Patriot Mobile shares your values and supports organizations that are fighting for religious freedom, constitutional rights, sanctity sanctity of life. And they love our veteran and first responder heroes. In fact, if you are a veteran or first responder hero, they will get you a discount on top of their already very reasonably priced plans. You got to go to patriotmobile.com/news. You can get free activation over there with the offer code NEWS. That is offer code NEWS over there at Patriot Mobile. Support a company that loves America, loves you, and shares your values. We got to stick together, and you can do that over at patriotmobile.com/news. That is patriotmobile.com/news. Joe Biden is going to use a speech that he has in Georgia to endorse changing Senate rules that have stalled all of their voting rights legislation. He is going to say it is time to choose, quote, democracy over autocracy. It's interesting because I read that Stacey Abrams, of course, the left tells us the governor of Georgia, Stacey Abrams, that's Stacey Abrams. She will plan not to be there, is what the rumor is on the street. But they want to, again, this is a report. So obviously current rules say that 60 votes are required to advance most legislation. But obviously Democrats cannot meet that because they have a 50-50 majority with Kamala as the tiebreaker. But they want to, end the filibuster only for this particular bill, which I can't tell you how horrible it is an idea, generally speaking. But, it is interesting because as the Democrats continue to talk about the Republicans want to end democracy as we know it, they want to change it into a dictatorship. Trump was a fascist, all of these things. I mean, you see something that is, hey, this is Congress. This is Congress actually working. Congress does practically nothing, right? Practically nothing. This is Congress actually working. They voted on a bill, or they're going to vote on a bill that it doesn't have the votes. So wouldn't democracy in action be Congress deciding, the Senate deciding by majority that this is not a bill that they want to pass through, that the constituents do not want? Wouldn't that be democracy working, as the left so often likes to say? And yet they want to change it so that they can just jam it on through. And by the way, they call it voting rights legislation. I know you two gentlemen know this, but they call it voting rights legislation. It is anything but. It is just basically extending all of these new things that they put in place for the pandemic that would basically leave us more open to fraud and things of that nature. And by the way, I do want to just throw in here Ayanna Pressley, Representative Ayanna Pressley, member of the Squad, did tweet out, this is one of my favorites, it's time to abolish the Jim Crow filibuster so we can restore voting rights and keep power in the hands of the people. So now it's the Jim Crow filibuster. It's not been whenever the Democrats have used it numerous times, throughout the years when they have actually been able to do it now. It's the Jim Crow filibuster. I just want to say I think it's time that we eliminate the Jim Crow federal income tax. It's about time. It's very racist and we need to eliminate it.
I think what's really happening, and this is my opinion, and you can agree or not, but they fundamentally do want to move us towards a democracy, which we are not. We're a republic.
Yes, yeah.
We are a republic, and in a republic, the minority is protected. Mm-hmm. In a democracy, the majority rules, and whatever they say the majority is, which is big government. So fundamentally, they would like to move it, and this is why they throw out this sugar language, democracy. It sounds so good. We're not a democracy. We better not become a democracy. We're a republic. Because if we become a democracy, they will move that sucker so fast into socialism, so quickly into big government. And because we are the majority now as big government, we decide for you. You no longer speak for yourself. So yes, we should let Congress do what they're supposed to do. And no, if you even let's just say you put the filibuster aside just for this one vote. They live and die by precedent. They will come back, man. You give them that pinky, they're going to eat that arm faster than you can say snap.
Yeah.
It's a horrible idea, right? And so, look, they are just going to push and push in that direction until they get socialism in this country. Borderline communism, right? We can argue whether there is such a thing as pure communism on earth or not, but extreme socialism is where they're heading. That's destination, USA for them, 100%.
Well, they like to use the racial epithets, right? The Jim Crow thing and all this thing. But that's not what they're after. They're not after racial equality, okay? They're after a caste system.
Yes.
They're after a caste and a class system. And it's whether it's big government or the elitists that are out there. See, the reason Ayanna Pressley, who, by the way, was the least popular member of the squad, so she shaved her head bald just to get some attention. That's committed to the cause. I mean, like, you know what? I want to look like a testicle. I want to look like a female testicle. Apparently they have those these days. But they want a caste and a class system, right? Where the elitists are the ones who are dictating to the ones who are below. So it's not about minorities. It's about the haves and the have-nots. Mm-hmm. So if they could get it to a democracy, if they could get it to socialism, see, because socialism doesn't really exist without capitalism to fund it. Okay,
that's right.
So you have to have the people at the top who believe in the capitalism in order to enforce the socialism. And so it's the billionaires at the top, let's say, who are the one keeping you down, keeping you on the teat, as we said earlier, to make sure that the caste system and the class system remains. And that's what they're pushing it towards. See, Ayanna Pressley can use the race baiting thing to make this comment because she knows she's arrived. She's in the upper class. She's the elite. She'll never go away. She's got a pension for life. Right? Mm-hmm. She'll never not be taken care of. She doesn't have to worry about it anymore. So she can say dumb stuff like this. So if you thought Jim Crow was bad, and it was, just wait till they put in place that system of classification of humans that they're really after.
And remember, the class system, and it's in many countries. Go look at India. You cannot graduate out of the class they put you in.
Never.
It's impossible. Mm-hmm. No matter, you become a doctor, if you're class, whatever they call it, and you become a doctor, you're classified.
Yeah. You're there.
You're stuck, which means they cap your earnings. You could be the greatest doctor in the country, right? If you come from that heritage, that area of the country, that family legacy, and you're in that class, you don't graduate out of that class, nor you nor your ancestors come out of that class.
Right.
It is complete control. It is kingship and peasants.
Yeah.
That's it. No matter what your skills are, your contribution, you are now completely hooked.
But to make the point, and just to sum that up, I think what people need to remember, the takeaway is whenever they are saying that our democracy, this is what they're saying. They're wanting class rule.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what they're wanting. So this abolishment of the Electoral College, this abolishment of the filibuster, this mass rule, mob rule, all this kind of stuff. That's what they're after.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Coming up next, let's talk about the FBI, who refuses to state whether or not they had any agents or informants actively participating in January 6th. We'll be back.
I missed the whole Elijah thing.
Ted Cruz, I guess, because
it's crazy right now. I'm trying to close it.
Ted Cruz, Chad's just watching himself. Chad's just watching himself
He looks
during
like
the
he's
show.
about to go rope. That's battle races and ropers.
Yep, there you go.
Come on. Come on.
Ted Cruz, after he came under fire for, what did he say about the people who participated in January 6th? He said they committed violent acts of terrorism. Yeah, that didn't go over too well with conservatives, as it turns out. And I guess maybe he's trying to rectify that. So during a hearing with FBI Executive Assistant Director Jill Sanborn, this is of the National Security Branch, he asked her very pointed questions about the FBI's involvement in the events of January 6th. And the answers were non-answers were quite interesting. Watch.
How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Interesting response. You would think if maybe even she would say, there's no way for me to know Not to my knowledge, but there's no way for me to know the whereabouts of every single one of my FBI agents. So I'll just say I don't have any knowledge of any of those things. No, she chose to say I cannot answer that.
Because the 7th floor told her, you don't speak.
I cannot answer
5th.
that. I cannot answer that. Very interesting questions based on what else we know and what else has come out.
Well, again, it goes back to your
January 6th.
intuition. You're going, oh, yeah, okay, so they were involved. I mean, that's always the next logical conclusion. I mean, at least in my world, that's the way my brain works. I know that the puppet show that's going on in D.C. that we watch on the boob tube, you know, they want us to believe that we're not thinking through all of that stuff. But,
but
Well,
you're
you
right.
are-
The
you're-
lack
but-
of transparency
yeah.
always points towards
Guilt.
smoke and
Yeah.
guilt, right? If there's no transparency, something's up.
Right. Well, I mean, this isn't even no transparency. It's just,
No comment.
yeah,
Which-
it's just like I said. I mean, if you were going to cover your bases and you knew that the FBI was not involved in it, or at least they weren't directed to be involved in it, it seems like your answer would still be different than I can't answer that.
I always, when I see these situations, because, I've been in a lot of these, tribunals and these situations, I know the process of how they select who's going to go on camera. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to consider that too, right?
Yeah.
And so you can imagine if that woman had the choice to go on camera or not for those questions with Ted Cruz, she would go, I'm going to pass on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the process of selecting, well, who's going to go be the face? Because that's not who we really need to be talking to. She's not the
Right.
person we need to be talking
Right,
to.
right,
Let's
right.
get to the director of the FBI.
Yeah.
You come. You come in front of Congress where you can be held in contempt, or where you can, go, and be perjure yourself. You can come and lie to Congress. No, they pick someone else a little bit down the chain that has just enough authority. So the American people go, well, it's a senior member, and she just wouldn't answer. She's the bad guy. You got to go up the chain a little bit. That's why I said 7th floor called down and said,
yeah, no matter who's talking, trust me, there's a hand in the puppet.
absolutely.
You want to get to the hand.
Yeah, the hand.
Will we ever?
Nope.
Nope. They
We
protect them. The hand gets protected.
But I mean, like even 20 years down the road.
Like even the hand that's controlling the puppet
Let me
called
ask you a
Fauci.
question. Do you have any more knowledge about the JFK assassination? I mean, Richard Nixon showed Jackie Gleason aliens in a freezer, right? I mean, I don't know if y'all know about that or not. That's a whole other story, but we ain't talking about that.
Yeah.
We ain't talking about that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Now look, or the puppet that's controlling Fauci, or the one controlling Joe Biden, the hand, those hands. That's why I always say true evil, you don't see their faces.
Yeah.
The real dark forces, we know who they are.
Yeah.
You don't see George Soros go in front of the camera.
Right.
Do you see George Soros go and put bricks down in Chaz and shop? No, he just pays some minions to go do it, but he's doing it.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back. We can go back to watching videos of it. Hey, don't forget, whenever you go over to listen to any sort of podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are, when you go there, don't forget to also look up the news and why it matters. Even if you're watching this, if you're watching our lovely faces, specifically these two gentlemen right here, you gotta go to where you get your audio podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review it. It's going to help more people be able to find the show. As we all know, as conservatives, the algorithm is out to get us, and this will help it immensely. So more people can watch less Brian Stelter. I would say less Chris Cuomo, but they are already watching less Chris Cuomo and more the news and why it matters here at Blaze TV. Also, if you write us a nice review, or funny, or whatever, clever, whatever the case may be, you may see it read live on air, like the one today from P. Rogers 8122, who said, 5 stars, love your show. I love listening to your show. It's fun, funny, and most important, very informative. Love your guests too. Keep up the awesome work. We really appreciate that. Guys, you've been doing a great job of canceling out the libs whenever they attacked our reviews with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. So you guys have been doing a great job. You've almost canceled them out, but we need one final push. So make sure you go to where you get your audio podcasts. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the news and why it matters. And make sure to check out both of these gentlemen.
Yeah.
Chad Prather, Jaco Williams. Thank you.